Good day, everyone. This is Dr. Sivaraman of iknowindustries.com. Good morning to one and all. Let me display the slide. Asian session live market analysis on March 29 between 5 and 5:30 GMT. So we will track the market for the new week. So I'll give the link for the live market footage. Now, currently, Euro is trading around 1.3433, about 22 pips higher than that of Friday close. The low is 1.3420. The high is 1.3524. So nearly about 100 pips spread has been formed during the start of the session. So they made a very quick rise during the upward gap opening. From there they started coming down. Still, if you come across the net changes 20 pips positive, that means 20 pips higher than that of Friday close. Then in the case of GBP, 1.4917, 1.4921 are the current levels. 1.4894 is the low, 1.4974 is the high. You can understand that nearly about 74 pips higher it opened and subsequently started dropping, and now the net change is 15 pips positive. Then in the case of USD also it is 12 pips positive. In the case of USD CHF, it is 33 pips positive. So you can find that all the majors, Euro, GBP, USD and CHF, they are all showing net change positive. So a typical contrarian move that Euro and GBP are showing the USD weakening move, and USD and CHF are showing that USD strengthening move. So you find a typical contrarian move in order to handle the respective cross. Because of that, when Euro is net change positive, USD CHF is net change positive, you come across Euro CHF, it's also showing a net change positive. So it has gained nearly about 62 pips from that of Friday close. Then also with regard to yen, Euro, yen and GBP yen, they are also showing net change positive. GBP Euro yen is around 32 pips positive, and GBP yen is also around 32 pips positive net change to come across. Then as far as the commodity pairs are concerned, CAD is showing 16 pips net change negative, and Australian dollar is showing 36 pips net change positive. A typical USD weakening move is seen in the case of the commodity pairs. So this, they are trying to do it, a typical USD weakening move with regard to the commodity pairs, and contrarian move with regard to the majors. This is mainly to handle the respective crosses of the commodity pairs. So I'll go back to the PowerPoint presentation. Now, from yesterday onwards, the daily saving system has been incorporated in Euro. So the market timings also changed accordingly. You have to make a note of that. The Japanese session is now reduced by 30 minutes. So 0030 to 7:30 GMT, 7 GMT is the Japanese session. Then 7 to 7:30 GMT is the gap time before the start of the European session. Then European session is from 7:30 to 13 GMT. Already daylight saving system has been incorporated in here. So that US session starts by 13:30 GMT, and now you find that European session gains about 30 minutes. So instead of 8 GMT, it will start by 7:30 GMT. 7 to 7:30 GMT will be the gap time here before the European session. So until such time the daylight saving system is in practice, you will come across this time frame. The time frame followed by that of the players. So there is a change from today. 0030 to 7 GMT is the Japanese session. Then 7 to 7:30 GMT is the gap time. Then 7:30 to 13 GMT is the European session. 13 to 13:30 is the gap time. 13:30 to 20:30 is as usual US session. Then 20:30 to 0030 for the next day, the gap time before the start of the Japanese session. Now what is expected in today's market? Now, Japanese session open high, swing and slide are the expected moves. So there could be a slide below that of the low towards the close of the Japanese session. Then during the European session, there could be a swing near that of the low, and then a quick rise during from that of the mid-European session. Then again, during the US session, swing and rise are the expected moves. So the slide towards close of Japanese session and also the early European session could be the weak beginning false move, and they are shown the open high level, like upward gap opening, and then from there they have dropped it. So a lot of traders could be tempted to go short after the drop as a technical trade, breakout trade. Then they could be uh, trapped by that of the players, and they could rise and induce them to do the short covering. So you would have noticed on Friday how exactly they made the market so uncertain, as if Euro and GBP can continue to drop. They have been making up and down moves for three times during the European session. Then the fourth time they straight gained the level to that of the high, and then this morning during the Japanese session they opened higher, and from there they had dropped it. So they buy all the sells from the traders and try to book profit at the higher level after gaining the levels during gap time. Then drop and hold near that of the low, and then make a downward stop and to discourage anybody buying there, induce them to sell. Then again they will make the rise. So this is the type of trap moves. Every time they make it, and we need to understand that, and we should not become bullish or bearish, and whatever that impression they try to create, and they are all the cunningness of the players. Now with regard to that of the intraday initial highs and the lows, Euro has got a low of 1.3420. Currently it is trading around the particular 3424 level, and high is 1.3524, which is intact. So they are expected to make a brief downward stop and below that of the low, and subsequently gain the levels, and during the late European or US session they are expected to go above that of the high. Then in the case of GBP, 1.4894 is the low. Currently they are holding around 1.4912. We see the net change in the case of GBP is 16 pips positive, and in the case of Euro is 13 pips positive. As a result, you find Euro GBP is showing almost flat, that 0.9000 is the level, 0.9029 is the high, 0.8997 is the low. So probably they wanted to make a brief rise in the case of Euro and hold GBP, and then subsequently make a drop in the case of Euro GBP. So allow them to gain the levels till European session in the case of Euro GBP, cross, then subsequently you can take a sell and buy trade. Then GBP 1.4974 is the high, and they are expected to go above that of the high during the US session. So these are all expectations, and anything can happen actually in the market. So you have to read the market from time to time and understand the intention. Suddenly, if all the traders turn long, then they have to make a drop and induce them to do the long liquidation before making further rise. So that you have to keep it in mind. And USDCH of 1.0578 is the low, 1.0689 is the high. Currently it is trading near that of the high, 1.0675. And net change is 27 pips positive. So if you find that Euro is showing a net change of 14 pips positive, and USDCHF is showing net change of 27 pips positive, you can understand how a typical contrarian move they have done it in the case of Euro CHF. Because of that, they are able to gain about 60 pips net change from that of Friday close in the case of Euro CHF. So on Friday, they made a visible drop in the case of Euro CHF in order to induce all the people to liquidate the long position around 1.42 level or 4250 level, and subsequently they gain the levels now. So this is how in the case of Canadian dollar also they made, and everybody was making a cry that it can go to parity and things like that. So they will induce an euphoric condition in the market, thereby everybody will start shouting that it is going to parity, it is going to parity. But actually you will find that it is not going to parity. So this is how they want everyone to cry, everyone to give a easy call that, okay, definitely Canadian dollar is going to drop. That is how they create the feel so that the traders can take a sell position and later on get trapped. Then in the case of USD yen, and you know that when it was around 88 level, and there are calls that it can go to 84, 85, 86, and that sort of thing, and silently they gain the levels up to 92. Now people say that 92 to 93 level is a strong resistance that it may not go above, but whereas the players intend to take by month end above that of 94. You will be able to see that how exactly they are holding and making a downward stop and during the gap time to 92.06 and 92.69 is the high, and they have breached the high. 92.77 is the high. Whereas in the case of Euro and GBP, they have not done it, but yen they are doing it. And you know, on Friday also, when Euro and GBP are rising, that USD yen they are expecting to drop as a USD weakening move, but they made a drop and again made the rise. So that sort of contrarian move they are expected to make. As a result, Euro yen and GBP yen will be benefited. Then in the case of Australian dollar, and they have been holding around 0.92 for a long time, and the 9235 they have been showing it, and subsequently came to 91 area. On Friday they made a very big drop below around that of 90 level. They've taken Australian dollar, and then again they gained the level to 97, and currently 90.85 the high, and it is holding up near that of the earlier high, initial high 0.9077. You can understand that they made a very big drop on Friday, inducing the traders to liquidate the long positions, and subsequently they gained the level. So during the drop, everybody will be questioning. So when everyone is willing to sell, who is the person who is trying to buy? Is he not afraid of the market? So that is a common question anybody could get. But actually, the players are not afraid because they are the one who are manipulating the market. So obviously, they need not be afraid. They can only create fear for others, but they don't become afraid of by themselves. Then in the case of USD CAD, 1.0241 is the low, 1.0269 is the high, which is such a narrow range, and they cut the low. 1.0236 has become the new low. You can understand that USD weakening moves they are making in the case of Australian dollar and Canadian dollar, and contrarian moves in the case of the other four majors. So they are expected to cut the low in the case of Euro and GBP. At that time, you can initiate a long position, and then you could be benefited. And similarly, in the case of denominator currencies also, whenever they are coming closer to the low, or when they are making a downward stop and below that of the low, you can try to take a buy position and you will be benefited in that. So let me minimize the PowerPoint presentation and focus the camera over that of the live market code page and take up the questions which are asked here and explain as much as possible. So in this particular week, let me give the weekly forecast because it is being recorded. So today you will come across a USD weakening move, and tomorrow also you come across a wide range swing, but it will appear USD weakening as well as USD strengthening move alternatively, and subsequently on 31st. So that will be the month and time for this particular month of March, but actually in the week that becomes the midweek. So you will come across a significant gain in the case of the other majors, Euro and GBP, and they will close it higher. Probably, as I explained, there could be a possibility or an event which could trigger the other majors to gain or USD to put under pressure. Then on April 1st, there could be subdued moves in the market, and second happens to be a holiday, and so you'll come across most of the volumes dwindled, and so obviously you'll come across more activities on 31st and certain amount of activities on on Thursday. Then Friday there could be subdued move because nowadays the holidays time, because it is not a holiday in Japan, but holiday in other European and US countries. So invariably you'll come across subdued moves. About 4 5 years back, they used to make even during holidays very big moves. And last year also, one or two occasions like Christmas holiday, Good Friday, they made big moves in the market. But let us see how exactly this year they are going to do it, because if the volume is good, then probably they will make the moves during the holiday time. But if the volume is very much diminished, then they may not be making any big swings in the market by circular trades, because ultimately they make the moves in order to earn money from that other market and no other purpose. Let me take up the questions now. Okay. Ahmed has got a question. How about Euro USD before London session? Euro and GBP are expected to hold near that of the low and make a small gain around 6 6:30 GMT, then suddenly make a drop, and so they could breach the low, which is set as the initial low, and they are hardly any distance. And then subsequently, when the new low has been formed towards close of the Japanese session, and also the gap time and the first 30 minutes of the European session, when the low is not breached, then one can initiate a buy position. If the low is breached, then wait for 2 hours. Only then you can initiate any buy position that I have been telling every time. Then Hearthstone, I want to know about GBP So GBP is making about 42 pips net change positive now. It has come to about 138.22 and 137.73 is the low, 138.37 is the high. As they are doing the contrarian moves, they could continue the contrarian move. That is, when they drop Euro and GBP, they could drop USD Yen and USD CHF also, then subsequently gain the levels. So you could expect a net change become negative to around 30 to 60 pips. Then subsequently it will make the gain. So during such dips, below that of the low in the case of Euro Yen, and then also similarly in the case of GBP, below that of the low 137.73, one can initiate the buy. Then GBP USD is expected to gain level. If you see net change in the case of Euro is 16 pips positive, and in the case of GBP is 25 pips positive. So you can understand that slowly they are changing the net change, quantum of net change in the case of Euro and GBP. This is how they make such small moves and make big moves in the case of Euro and GBP, the cross, and also other crosses of Euro as well as GBP. So GBP, you can, whenever they are making a downward stop and around at 84.40 or 48.40 or 48.50, you can initiate a buy position. Then Arun, spread is already good. Seems drop could be limited, but do you see 48.50 today before the rise? Yeah, the spread is good, but they have only hit the stops of the those who had taken the sell positions on Friday, and they kept their stops in order to limit the risk, and subsequently they had dropped it. So the big moves happening during the gap times are false moves. So they are not really the bullishness of the market. They only hit the stops which are placed by the short sellers at a higher level. And subsequently they made the drop, and they will try to gain again the level. So there you will be able to see the real bullishness. But still, I will not call it as a bullishness because they gain the levels to book profit. So how do you say it is bullish? Then Diamond Forex. Okay, Diamond Forex finds the difference with regard to the net change in the case of FX Street live market quote page as well as Saxo Bank live market quote page. There could be some difference when you come across then the starting time of the live market quote page varies, but in Saxo Bank I find that it is coming from the interbank treasury, which starts exactly by the previous day close. So and also they give the exact quote, and last 30 minutes of their trading level is taken into consideration, and from there they fix the highest and low, and whatever the players follow, we should try to follow. So the players follow interbank treasury quote page, so let us also follow the same. That what can be the real target level for euro and GBP in this week? See, a weekly potency is about 350 pips in the case of euro and 600 pips in the case of GBP. Since it's going to be the last week in which you come across the month end as well as the new month beginning, but new month beginning, you find that invariably has got the non-farm payroll. Yes, I forgot to mention about that. On second, there is going to be a release of non-farm payroll, which could really make a trigger in the market. And before that, they are expected to gain the levels on 31st itself, and then probably you will come across the gaining moves in the market on second as well. So for non-farm payroll, that is the only event, and probably the interest rate decisions could be announced during the next week. And for non-farm payroll, the market is expected to make an upward spike. So before the non-farm payroll, they are expected to make an upward spike and make a brief dip and then further rise towards close of for Friday could be the market move. So there could be a possibility that the full net permissible level could be utilized in this particular week. And they are expected to hereafterwards make good spread moves in the market in order to attract the traders to participate. The quarter ending and they have to earn as much as possible. So obviously they have to make big swings in the market, only then they will be able to achieve the target. Then drop. Are you expecting a drop in GBP this week? If so, when? So GBP is expected to make a drop during the late Japanese session and the early European session. Whatever the low, that could become the low for this particular week. And I'm expecting the week beginning false move and subsequently volatile moves in this particular week. But they are done enough of downward stop last week and accumulated buy positions, and they are holding high. So anybody selling here 1.49, 4924, they are absorbing it. So when they absorb it, obviously by weekend they have to rise it and book profit. So that you have to read. Whenever they hold green for a prolonged time and it becomes black, that means they are buying, and they are holding and buying at these levels. When they buy it at 1.49, they will not drop and sell it at 1.48. They are not emotional traders. Obviously, they will raise it to 1.50 and then induce the traders to do the short covering. And now you would understand that last week they have been buying. But when I was telling that they have been buying, and probably the charts would have said that market could drop further down, But actually they drop, and buy from the other market and rise quickly and offload to that of the emotional traders. At that time, we will call ourselves bullish. Then Smigol. In case of maximum and minimum stages, there are maximum and minimums initially utilized the players for the week and also for the month. If yes, how can I identify them? Just as we see the daily hours from 21 GMT to 3:30 GMT for the week, would it be maximum and minimum for Monday? In the month, would it be the maximum and minimum for the first week of the month? No, there is nothing like that. As the Monday, they have to set the maximum and the minimum. So on a daily basis, they got the maximum permissible net change of 150 pips in the case of euro and 250 pips in the case of GBP and 200 pips in the case of other currencies. Then in a week they can rise about 350 pips in the case of euro, and 600 pips in the case of GBP. So this they can utilize depending upon the market condition. And if there are a lot of traders entering into the market, then they can utilize and gain 600 pips or drop 600 pips in a given week. And in a month, they can do about 900 pips, 600 to 900 pips, and in the case of GBP, about 1100 pips, they can make swings. So it is not difficult for them to make such big moves in the market. So you have to keep in mind, and so if you think the 1000 pips move is a big move, then every month they are capable of doing the 1000 pips swing in the market. So you understand that even in the case of Euro, 350 pips drop in one week, another 350 pips drop in another week. They can make about 700 pips. And in the case of GBP, 600 pips in one week, 600 pips in the second week, they can make 1200 pips drop. So in just 2 weeks, they can make it and make the havoc in the market and subsequently accumulate all the positions and gain the levels in a very similar way. Yes. Please comment. Australian dollar today, how low do you see it going before the expected price? Australian dollar has already done the downward stop and Friday they made 0.9017 and subsequently they have been accumulating and now it has come to 0.9085. So they have breached a high of 0.9077 holding above that, so it may not make much of a dip. In case intraday, in order to create the sentiment, they may drop below that of 0.9077 and then subsequently or quickly gain back the levels. And also for USD, which session do you see going below the initial? They may not go below the initial low of 92.06 and they could probably come closer to that 92.32 or 92.27 and things like that and subsequently make the rise. Because they cut the high of 92.69 and they have formed a new high 92.77. So they may come closer to the low and then go up. See, when they make an upward stop and you know that those who are holding a long position, they could exit quickly. And then not much of selling pressure will come on the downside. That is how we have to review the market from time to time. Then Friday this week still show as non-farm even though Friday non-farm payroll is being expected. Do you see Euro USD cutting the high today? Yeah, Euro USD is expected to cut the high during the US session or even during late European session they can breach in case the volume is good. They expect the players to rise their levels this week hitting the maximum weekly net. Yes, there is a great potential because the last week and there will be a lot of option expiries and things like that and also the target will be high for the quarter. So in order to achieve, they will try to make very big up and down moves in the market. So not much of questions afterwards. Do all the players move in the same direction? Let me tell you, players act as a single group. They are not competitors or you don't come across the bullish players and the bearish players and things like that. It is one syndicate, one consolidated group. And in this group, they do the circular trade. From one bank terminal, they try to keep the sell orders and another bank terminal, they try to keep the buy orders. And they try to do the circular trade and they use their money, the wealth, in order to take positions, nothing more than that. So it is not that there is always a tug between or a fight between two sets of players and things like that. So they are all the stories created for the traders to believe, but they are the rich people. They don't have such differences, and they are very, very clear that they don't lose their money. And in a decisive way, they make further money out of that. That is why you find once the person becomes the world richest and things like that, they don't come down. Okay. Then Thomas, could I reiterate, we expect GBP to make a low during the initial session, the move up later. Yes, during the late Japanese session and the start of the European session, there could be a downward move. Is the gap time is not 2 to 2:30 GMT. The time has happened now. No, Rob, see the gap time is 00302, I mean 2030 to 0030 is the gap time before the start of the day. Then the Japanese session starts around 0030 GMT, and between 2:30 and 3:30 GMT, they set the initial highs and the lows in the market. So don't get confused with all those things. Okay, who are all the players? So it's a long story, and we are not we need not be interested in who are all going to be the players or how to identify them. By that we don't achieve anything. But only thing is you try to follow their action and try to understand that they always make a cunning move before that of the intentional move, and try to participate during the cunning move, and during the intentional move try to book profit. That is more important rather than, because we are all not the probing persons to find where they are and how they are making money, what we are going to achieve, and nobody will be able to take action against them because their money flows everywhere. And money can even buy mother. That is what the current day situation is. How many pips will be moved below that of the low in the case of euro? So euro has got a psychological level 1.34. They may come closer to 1.3407, or sometimes they may breach 1.34 if there are good amount of stocks below that. You have to watch. And see, those things we will not be able to predetermine. You have to watch, and when they come to that particular level, afterwards if they stop cutting the low and come above that of the initial low 1.3420, one can initiate a buy. And if they sustain above that of the initial low for more than 30 minutes, then you can initiate a buy so that you will have a definite profit there. And once the position makes profit, you have to keep stop at the entry. That is very important. Today move as a false move for the week. Yeah, today the downward move is expected to be a false move according to my algorithm. So let us watch how exactly this week proceeds. Then accordingly we will identify which way the false move happened in this particular week. Then Rupal, how to identify that the players are going to change the trend? What are the very good indications of trend change? See how exactly the market shows the trend. It is not because of the economic conditions of the countries. It is only with regard to the net change, because that people are taking the leveraged positions in the market. So if you are taking 1:200 or 1:100 or 1:50, whatever it is, the position is leveraged. And we don't take physical delivery of the currencies when you buy or sell. So obviously, whatever the positions taken in the market, that has to be closed in the market. So we cannot just like that leave the position without touching it. So you have to necessarily close the position, and the players are the one, they are giving us the position. If you want to buy, they are selling to us. So once we take the positions, they know that whether the traders are holding net long positions or net short positions. Accordingly, if the traders are all net long positions, willing to buy at these levels, then they drop. And suppose if the traders are all selling at the higher level, and that in the case of euro 1.58 or 1.60, when the traders were all selling this the highest season, they showed 1.62. So that is how you might be seeing that it is a oversold or overbought condition at the higher level. Still the market will be going, because that technical analysis does not differentiate whether it is the overbought condition of the players or overbought condition of the traders. That is why you find that we are not in a position to really understand when exactly they are going to bring in the trend reversal. And the very purpose of in order to find when exactly the trend reversal is going to happen, so we need to give importance to that of the timings of the market. So that is why, based on that, I had developed the algorithm with which I am trying to give the trend reversal timing. Okay, so let me display this slide again. So the timings, kindly make a note. Now Japanese session ends by 7 GMT. It's already 5:35 GMT. So by 7 GMT, Japanese session will get over. Then 7 to 7:30 GMT will be the gap time. Then 7:30 to 7:30 onwards, the European session starts because of the daylight saving system. So you'll come across a small drop towards around 6:30 GMT, and they may breach the low or they may go about 30-40 pips below that in case if the stops are close by, because morning they opened it higher, a lot of traders would have taken initially a buy position and they will try to hit that stops, the emotional trader stops on the lower side, and then subsequently make the rise during the European session from 9:30 GMT onwards, because it starts by 7:30 itself. 9:30 GMT onwards, they will start rising up to 13 GMT. Then 13 to 13 GMT, they will come across a false move, gap time moves or false move. Then US session, they are expected to gain the levels again. Then this is what the same is given with regard to the forecast. The Japanese session open high, swing and slide, then swing and rise moves during the European as well as the US session. So you could come across USD gaining move, the other majors gaining move today. So I take this opportunity to thank everybody who has come here to listen to my talk. And tomorrow again I'll meet and give you the Asian session live market analysis webinar. Meanwhile, I'll present it in the blog. Then I'll try to give the update as the market moves. See you all. Thank you.